we should be live. Okay, going live any moment now. Let's see if we're live. We should be live now. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Let's see if you can hear us. Loud and clear. Everything working as expected this time. Just as an overview, we're doing this both on X and YouTube, just to be sure. Testing the live sessions on X directly, and then also doing this doubly on YouTube just to make sure that we have a backup running. Hopefully you can hear me loud and clear this time. Awesome. I will then start the conversation. First of all, thank you for being here. It's really great to be able to share an overview and update on the important things that we have in store, that we've been working on, and that we're focusing on daily basis. And we'll cover a few important topics today. The first one will be just an overview on what the current situation is on the market and the different sentiments that people have, just being mindful and treating this as something that exists, but that should not affect people too much. Second, a very deep focus on what xDay is, why it's extraordinarily important for Multiverse X and beyond the Multiverse X ecosystem, and why this may be the most important checkpoint that we've had since the start of Elrond and Multiverse X. So it's really great and exciting to focus on that and give an overview and update on why that matters, what are the bridges that we're opening up and building, and conversations that we're starting for xDay and beyond, and what some of the threads are that we're touching on and pulling together with xDay to really take Multiverse X to the next level. You'll be seeing that today we're testing a few things differently related to the setup, sound, the channels. So hopefully this works out great. And moving beyond that, I'll just begin with the most relevant part about where things are right now and what we've been seeing in the community, and what we want to actively and intentionally focus on. Of course, the current situation on the one hand is not at all the best from a macro perspective. Every type of sector is basically hit in a certain way, and people are trying to process, regroup, try to look how things might look and how they might navigate the current situations. Specifically, I've been referring to this idea and metaphor that has been written and repeated over and over again about the market, that you can see the market as this character that is manic depressive, and whenever you have this type of manic depressive person close to you or too close to you, things will get messed up. It will get to your head, and then you won't be able to navigate, process, thoughtfully manage whatever happens. You don't generally want to have someone that is manic depressive very close to you. This is why you want to manage the market in a much smarter way. You're processing things, but you're also thoughtfully looking at them and trying to actively detach from that. But then another important point when zooming out is to look at the market in two ways. In the short term, there is this metaphor that the market is a voting machine, and in the long term, a weighing machine. Just thinking about how this type of short-term overview might push you and impel you to make some decisions is very different from thinking what things might look like in the longer term. So this is why if you've been in the space, in the market for several cycles, this type of conversation is very natural. You'll see extraordinary heights, extraordinary excitement and euphoria, but also terrible depression and really bad energy, and to the point where you can see that manic depressive friend affecting some of the people around. Now, zooming out, I believe it's extremely important to look at the technology, the progress made, the different efforts that have been put in for years now, and to resist the urge to forget everything just because the market panics. We've not been here since yesterday. We won't go away tomorrow. We've been here for years now and have built some foundations that we believe are extraordinarily and exceptionally positioned to bring in adoption and to bring in value. However, this takes time. This takes progress. This takes effort. And we want to be not only very focused on this type of efforts, but then also detach or introduce a kind of space between us and the manic depressive friend. We suggest you do the same, and suggest that you make sure that as you look at things, you're not basically waking up and forgetting everything that happens, and are much more mindful. Try to build something over and over and over. Try to put in efforts each and every day, rather than hoping that something will change and everything will be exceptionally in one single day. Now, I've said all of this precisely because we've been putting a lot of effort. You've been putting a lot of efforts. A lot of builders have been putting a lot of efforts in the Multiverse X ecosystem. And things are very well positioned for adoption, for progress, for steps that we are taking forward. And I'll go to this in 1 second, but in order to look and see and appreciate this type of progress, you need to get out of the stream of emotion that is carrying everyone right now on Twitter, on X, and on other social media channels. I would, from the start, say a few things about community members that have been exceptional, not only in managing this type of and navigating this type of moments, but then also sharing insights, sharing ideas for fellow community members, for fellow builders. And I want to congratulate them and say a good word both for them, both on Twitter, and to the admins that have been going through this, seeing a lot of cycles, and have been there helping people to navigate this type of challenging moments. Now, it's also extraordinarily important, as I've said, to focus on what matters here, to essentially look at the technology, look at the team, look at the vision, and see if this fits, see if this makes sense. And as long as it does, you should make your decision very thoughtfully. That's one thing. And then also, do not sit on the sideline. Instead of sitting in an armchair and criticizing and sharing your ideas, start building something. Whenever someone starts building something, it's fascinating how this type of expectations and suggestions and advice calibrates. They're starting to come back to earth, seeing how things are, seeing that it's not. It's much simpler to sit on the sideline and tell everyone how they can do things, and it's much more difficult to get in the arena and do something, get it done, seeing that there are challenges, and then still pushing forward for years now. This is very simple advice, but very, very important in order to be able to navigate things and also reach a point where you're looking at things and you've survived. You've survived both as a builder, maybe as a community member, maybe you've put in some money into eGold and then are staking it and are participating in the ecosystem. In hindsight, it's always very, very simple for people to consider how lucky someone was that they invested in Bitcoin, for instance, in 2010 or 2013 or 2015. And then it's very fascinating when they have to actually navigate just one cycle like this. When you see euphoria, you're excited, and then you see a deep depression where you sort of cannot believe that anything will move. In any case, resist that type of temptation of rewriting everything just because of the moment you are in right now. If you manage the emotion, if you process them properly, you will see an opportunity. And this brings me to the concluding point for the first part, which is get involved. Come and be part of the conversations. Share your thoughts. Come closer to different projects. We are extremely curious to hear feedback, but then it's also important to understand that it is during these times that the most interesting opportunities appear. The most interesting challenges give birth to great value in all senses, both in terms of character, when you have to face something and it's super difficult and there is no way of avoiding the challenge. It's only when you level up that you discover what the solution is and all of that. This happens as well and is also applied in terms of products and teams and execution and adoption. Once you flip the coin, once you flip the situation and look at it in a new light, then you'll see where the opportunity lies. Then you'll see where the adoption is. And this brings me back to the second point, which I believe will guide the entire conversation related to where we are right now and what we're trying to do. This point is around the progress that we've been making and the next important milestone that we have in front of us. And I think up until this point, perhaps the conversation has not been very clear or very well understood on why xDay is extraordinarily important, not only for Multiverse X, but for the broader Web3 and blockchain ecosystem. And I'll try to outline a bit of what xDay was before and what we're trying to do with it right now, and then how everything else ties together. First of all, through xDay, last year, we've tried to gather the entire ecosystem, to open up some strategic conversations with public officials from different countries, with payment institutions, with fellow builders from several different fields, and get in touch and have some conversations with the entire ecosystem, the Elrond ecosystem at that point and Multiverse ecosystem. Now, what are we trying to do this year is, I believe, even more important. And in order to deliver value, you'll hear this over and over again during the next period. We'll try to focus the conversations and perhaps do less things, but a lot better. Wherever you may look, you'll see totally new things every day. And we love new things. Every one of us pushes for new things. We'll definitely have some new things that we'll be doing. But what we'll try to do during the next period is put a lot more focus in the things that we're doing and do them a lot better, take them to the next level. And xDay is one of these things. I'll touch on some of the products, I'll touch on some of the ideas, but xDay is an exceptional moment for the ecosystem through which we're trying to open completely new bridges and strategic conversations outside of the multiverse ecosystem. Now, of course, you can expect that at xDay, the ecosystem will be there. Builders will be there. Everyone will be there. But we're trying to, instead of just having Multiverse X as this platform for the Multiverse X ecosystem, where we meet and we just showcase some products and we have the conversations just inside our ecosystem. We're trying to zoom out and essentially position xDay as one of the most important and exciting platforms for European technology, European ambition, for the sort of renaissance of European ambition. How are we trying to do this? How are we specifically doing this? Well, we're trying to actively set the stage in such a way where, on the one hand, we're engaging with some of the most important state officials in several countries. We're trying to actively have a conversation with them, see what their thoughts are, see what their thoughts are on the economy, see what their thoughts are on digitalization, see what their thoughts are on energy, see what their thoughts are on the legal and regulatory framework, and actively contribute to that. Now, this is how the conversation is taken to the next level. This is how the conversation, instead of randomly just moving forward, is put on a trajectory where we can build on these conversations and then actively have a path that we're exploring with one and several other countries with which we've already built a bridge. This is extraordinarily important because it positions Multiverse X in a very, very different light, where we look not only at what we've built, but look at it also through the lens and through the conversations with these public officials. This is one direction. A second direction is one that you'll see this year at xDay, where we're taking some extraordinarily important companies in the world of technology and bringing them to build different bridges with them as well, to announce and bring forth some conversations that we've been building and we've been working on for a very long time. Now, again, the idea here is not in the announcement, but the bridge and the new path that is being opened with these world-class companies, such that Multiverse X not only has the public official arena where it's present and has a conversation, but it also has a different type of arena around some of the top technology companies in the world that will have a present at the event and you'll hear about during the next period, and that we're opening conversations with for years to come to build on. Now, in addition to this, there's also a third layer that we're looking to build with, that we're opening some bridges with, and that we're actively engaging with. And this is the banking and payment sector, both with the commercial banks and with the central banks. We're trying to set some bridges forward so that there is a constant feedback loop, constant conversation that is open, so that we can really make progress. We can really bring adoption, not only with the state officials, not only with large companies from around the world, but also with strategic bankers, both commercial bankers and central bankers. Now, I'm mentioning all this because it took years of effort for us to be able to open these doors and have a thoughtful conversation that can lead to some productive results. This never happens overnight. Whereas in other countries and other situations, you see everything being closed down. Here, you see with Multiverse X a lot of productive conversations that we've been building together, that we've been nurturing and cultivating so that we can have the proper conversations together. Now, in addition to this, there's also another layer that is a kind of regulatory layer where we're trying to actively understand what some of the challenges are in the current regulation and help contribute to a productive framework that enables not only us to exist, but enables different companies, different people, different businesses to participate in the space, to contribute, to share their thoughts, and to actually make a living, to actually build companies and products that are extremely valuable and useful for a country, for the entire ecosystem, and of course for Multiverse X as well. Now, in addition to this, we also have another layer where we'll engage with some economists. You've heard about Alex Tabarrok, which is just one example, where we're trying to not only take this and show the actionable part, show the lens that the state and state officials have, show the lens that bankers and regulatory people have, regulators and legal colleagues and people have. But then we're also trying to see the broader outlook. How does technology contribute to economic growth? And once we see this outlook, then there will be another set of conversations with VCs, with funds that are engaging thoughtfully and trying to, again, actively participate in this type of ecosystem, trying to actively direct focus, direct resources, and build something for the longer term. In addition to all this, we'll also have some conversations around the most interesting ideas that are being built right now, both in the blockchain space with builders, but then also in the AI space and the metaverse space. We'll do this with some really fascinating people that you'll discover and are going to see during the next few days, and also with some fascinating partners, some that are really large and important. Now, I want to also note one small thing here, which is we're looking at xDay as something exceptional and extraordinary for the ecosystem and even for a country and for Europe. Just because it brings together a set of people that would normally not be in the same room and that would normally have their own ideas and interests related to what happens. Now, putting them all together and having some thoughtful conversations opens this grand and converging bridge with them such that we can build something together for the next period, for the longer term. Now, moving even one step closer, I will just note this, that before this call, funny enough, I had a conversation with one really cool banker, a CEO of a bank, and it was fascinating how the conversation went. I was mentioning this to some of our colleagues, that people think that normally, let's say, conversations are tense and difficult and always just from this sort of bitter angle. But in this case and in our cases, especially with the interaction with the officials, with the interactions with the banks, even with the central bank, the conversations have been remarkably productive and interesting and fascinating. So I'm very happy to see this, and I also underscore that this has not come overnight, that it took years and years to be able to come to this point and try to make this happen. I will also note something down that is extremely important related to xDay. And this is whenever we are excited about something, sometimes the community and some people in the community take this and blow things out of proportion. It's extraordinarily important to understand what a good step forward means, what it means to actually add value, and then not make it a kind of moon landing thing all of a sudden in one day. This just means that once we learn to look at the progress, to appreciate the progress without blowing it out of proportion, it will be much more useful, productive, and natural even to engage in constructive conversations. Moving one step further, I have started everything with the theme around xDay and why xDay is this remarkable moment, not only for the entire ecosystem, but perhaps for the country, perhaps for Europe. And I'm stating this because in this type of conversations, you can see new type of startups, new type of builders, new type of collaborations and partnerships, but also some things that we've started to work on for years now coming to fruition. Being there and paving the way so that many other conversations can happen. Some of these things have to do with the different products that we've been building. Within xDay, we'll definitely have a special moment that is a kind of multiverse X experience that showcases some of the products that we've been building, the progress we've been making on them, the challenges that we faced with some of them, and the lessons that we've learned. And if I'm going to just briefly touch on the products and the updates and the directional steps that we've been taking, I'll share this. When we've shared the hypergrowth plan and map, we've shared a few of the directions that we were going to pursue, that we were going to explore. Now, for every point, we've tried to make as clear as possible that some points are very clear, that we're very confident that this is the direction we're going, and this is what we're exploring, and this is how we're trying to make things happen. Some other things we've made also clear that they are very exploratory, that we might discover that while the ideas are interesting and fascinating, it might not be the moment right now to move forward with some of these technologies. For each of these technologies, we'll have updates. I'll begin by stating that we've started a lot of efforts, both with the community and with the builders, and have seen an exceptional level up generally in the community. For thoughtfulness, for discussions, for constructive feedback. Of course, during this period when markets are exceptionally tough, we've also seen a lot of negativity. Sometimes it's negativity disguised. People want to make it seem like they're part of the ecosystem, like they're moving forward. And I will say that during the next period, we'll try to clean up some things, in the sense that we'll be much more intentional on what's clear, what's useful, and what's completely not useful. Why, when someone is building something and you're just coming and offering suggestions, but in a super negative way, this both means that someone that is doing this has not understood anything about building, but also that they're essentially trying to take down someone that is building something. So if you're part of this ecosystem, you understand this ethos around builders, then you want to, one, be thoughtful of the energy, of the time spent, of the efforts that are being put in, and then you also want to help. If you're not thoughtful and don't want to help, then essentially no one is curious to hear feedback or thoughts from someone that is just offering them. On the other hand, if you're thoughtful and want to help and want to engage, everyone is curious to hear the thoughts, to engage with them, to process them. And in this, I think it's extremely important for the community to not only level up, but look very carefully when someone comes in and is extremely aggressive, showing lack of thought, and then a strong emotional response on something that doesn't hold water. Adding one specific thing, I'll add that the most interesting things that will happen until xDay will be the community sessions. And we've started with some things that we're organizing, but I'll take this one moment to say that I've seen a lot of activities, a lot of events and exciting things happen in the community with community initiative, without engagement from us or without previous discussions from us. And one such event will happen during the next few days. Of course, it will be the chess arena, organized with a few really cool people from the community. There will be, I understand, several, like 50, more than 50 builders that are competing in the chess matches that will happen, that then will face 3 people from the Multiverse X team. I'll also be there to co-host the conversation, have some fun, share some thoughts, and we'll be very, very curious to see what's happening there. Now, of course, you're all invited. Of course, the entire community is invited not only to watch, but also to participate. There will be some stakes that people can win. And I also hear that whoever loses needs to change that profile picture with an NFT or something like that. So we've had a fun chat with the team, with the people. Hopefully we don't lose. But if we lose, we'll take it forward. And again, great effort and great energy for everyone that has contributed to this type of event, because it's sometimes extremely simple for people to say this is good or this is bad and so forth. But whenever you're engaging with so many people, you're putting an extraordinary amount of effort to organize something, despite how the market is, despite how things look. And it's precisely because it's this type of period that we very much appreciate this type of efforts even more. So kudos to the people that are building this, and be sure to come and participate and be there, and curious to see you win. Now, moving one step closer, there are a few community sessions that we've set forth, and I'll just add on them and then move to the second point. One important point is that essentially we've started the Builders Office Hours with Sever, and he's been sharing feedback and ideas and status updates almost every day after the conversations with the founders. So extraordinarily excited to see this happen, for people to get feedback, for us to have this initiative out, and it's great. Now we're currently having the town hall session, and there are as I've mentioned, the town hall sessions will probably set every 2 months or something like that. We'll share this type of updates, and then also share some of the exciting things that we're looking forward to. In 2 days, we'll have the dev sessions where we'll discuss with the developers not only some remarkable upgrades that are coming to the network, but their implications as well. The ideas around them, what they should prepare for, what we should process and have in mind, and so forth. So quite curious and excited to look at what's happening with the dev session. Then we'll have a DeFi session, and here I'll just share that the DeFi session will probably be held with 3-4 people in the builders in the community, with which we'll engage, have some conversations just to begin this. The dev session, the DeFi session, and the NFT session will probably be held on a monthly basis. We'll also have the NFT session which goes to the point where in the NFT space we have a lot of builders that are pushing through. The NFT space is much younger than some of the other sectors that have been explored. And so it might be a bit more difficult for the people in the NFT space to process, recalibrate, update, given the current conditions. But there as well, I think we'll have 2-3 people from the community with which we'll start these conversations, and then in each conversation share some thoughts or invite some other people from the community that are builders that have some ideas that they've discovered and they want to share them as well. And we'll also engage in defining what the next steps might be, what the productive steps might be given the current conditions and given the current overview on everything we have. Next, there will be a validator session where again we'll share a lot of the details on what the next mainnet upgrades will bring, what staking phase 4 will bring, and there is a lot of discussion within the team to prepare some notes, to share them. Then there will be a lot of efforts that we're already doing on Telegram, on Discord, both with the admins and with the builders. And this we want to continue and just level up to have the entire flow done right, and to move things in a very, very close way to what we want to have as a pipeline that works for builders, works for community members, works for builders from the different verticals, and enables us to take them from the very early stage to the stage where the companies are built, the products are built, and they're delivered at scale. Now, I'm touching on all of this because this is a kind of communication and feedback thread that I believe to be extraordinarily important for the ecosystem to not only communicate, but to get feedback, to see results, to see changes being done, to share ideas, to come back and share some of the challenges, some of the ideas that are happening. And I also believe that with each new session, the feedback loop will be much closer, much more aligned, and will happen much faster. Now, this is just ramping up things in preparation to xDay, because as I've said, at xDay, we're opening the stage and engaging with the world. We're taking the technology and building some bridges with the outside world, outside of our ecosystem. And I've shared a bit about the officials. I've shared a bit about the large businesses, the banking partners, the regulators, the economists, and even the funds, VCs, and the builders. And I'm coming to the point of the builders because we'll also have 2 types of tracks that we are focusing on and that we want to do even better this year. One is we're going to engage and bring together some other projects from the blockchain space that are not in the Multiverse X ecosystem, that are about interoperability, about building bridges with some of the large ecosystem outside. Why? Because we believe that this will be probably the most important thing. The next most important thing we'll do, beside getting to the, let's say, outside world, getting to the large sectors, just building these other bridges with some of the other ecosystem will be the most important idea of interacting with new people, bringing them in, sharing what we're doing, getting an overview on what they're doing, seeing where the complementary approaches are, and moving one step closer to large-scale adoption. This is again aligned with the core idea of building bridges to get larger audiences, to get new people, and to be able to convert them, to be able to partner, collaborate in a way that is beneficial for them and for us as well. Of course, some of the speakers you've already seen, some of the partners you've started to see, and on this we'll unveil even more during the next few days, especially with the partners, because there we've only begun. But I'll also add one of the most exciting threads that we're supercharging with xDay, which is the hackathon. The hackathon is there to bring in a large and new and very significant wave of builders. Not only are we going to set things up such that everyone discovers about xDay as we get closer and closer and closer, but we want to make sure that builders have the best excuse and incentive to start playing with the technology. Because once they start playing, they usually discover some interesting aspects. The technology can get better, can improve. And here as well, we're starting a much more intentional and serious effort into not only bringing builders in, but improving the documentations, improving the tools, and getting everything aligned such that the entire feedback loop works better and better with each new iteration. Now, there will be many hackathons. Some of them will be organized by the community. Some of them will be organized by different stakeholders in the community. Some of them will be organized by us. What I think is extraordinarily important is that right now we have the largest hackathon for Multiverse X that is very, very focused, for which we have some exceptional partner. And if you're a builder, there's literally no other excuse than jumping in the water. This is the moment, and this is even more exciting in addition to everything I was mentioning before, because it focuses the conversation. It puts a lot of pressure, but then out of this pressure and this conversation, a lot of new ideas, a lot of new products, a lot of new builders will emerge and will iterate and will take some of the things that are being built to the next level. This is how progress looks, and this is why xDay is extraordinarily important. It's why we're pushing on it from all angles. I do think that most of the updates around the products that we currently have will be shared at xDay, and we'll probably do a kind of protocol such that 1 month before xDay or 2 months before xDay, 1.5 months, because right now I'm just stating this out loud. There's only 6 weeks until xDay. This is insane in terms of effort that is being put into all the tracks that I was mentioning before, and also in terms of shortness of time. So we need all the energy, all the effort, all the focus on things in order to finalize some things, put them in place, cut out anything that we believe will not help or is not useful, refocus even better on some of the things to, as I said, not do new things, but do better. Do everything we're doing to the next level. This will be a conversation that we'll share over and over and over again. What I'll add for the people that maybe look for the first time and hear about Multiverse X and what's happening here. The idea with the hackathon is we'll have several tracks: an AI track, a DeFi track, an infrastructure and dev tooling track, payments track, mobile apps track, Web3 gaming and metaverse tracks. It will be held with a few partners. You can engage, you can register on the 21st of September. You'll have 1 month to essentially build stuff. You can have everything online, and presence at xDay is not mandatory, but it's going to definitely be awesome to have you there. And there will be $1 million set in prizes and funding from a lot of cool partners that you're going to discover during the next few days. Now, the most important part is also that there will be workshops, there will be AMAs, there will be a grand finale conversation with awards at xDay specifically for the hackathon. If you're a builder, you can literally not miss this. This is the moment for you to participate, engage, and showcase your product. Make sure that the world hears about what you've built and what you want to build. Now, maybe one last point, and then we'll go to the ideas here on the community, just maybe taking some questions, seeing if there are some ideas or notes from you that you might want us to answer. There are in the community not only a lot of remarkable hardcore people that are putting in the effort, but they also understood that this time is when they can take the challenge even more serious, take things to the next level. And they are people that are, for instance, admins, just being there in the community and putting a lot of effort and being there, whether it's rainy, whether it's sunny. So a lot of kudos goes to them for this type of effort. There are also builders in the sense that they're sharing thoughts, as I was mentioning before, sharing ideas, sharing feedback, they're writing content, explaining the different things. And there are 5, 6, there are tens of people that generally post, but there are a few really exceptional people that are constantly elevating the conversation, elevating the quality of the conversations and so forth. So a lot of respect for this type of feedback and content and ideas. And I want to say you should keep that coming because it elevates everyone in the ecosystem, and it's great to have. And then there are also a lot of builders. And during the next period, and as you've probably seen, we are trying to move to a point where we're showcasing almost on daily basis a lot of the things that are happening in the ecosystem with better framing, with better ideas. You should not take this as our ideas or, let's say, endorsements and so forth. And whenever someone posts some previous tweet where we showed goodwill and trust and good intentions to some builders and just state, hey, look what they said before and so forth, it seems that the person is not understanding the point. We're here to build. We're here to build with everyone that's building. If someone has good intentions, wants to make things move forward and wants to build, we're here. This is why they should come and look at Multiverse X and find other fellow builders that want to push things forward. If someone wants to just create drama, throw dirt at someone else, we're not interested. Not interested at all. We're trying to clean this up, and whenever we see too much drama, it means that either the person doesn't understand how they can engage and contribute and communicate, or there's something else there that needs to be solved that we don't have time and energy to solve. So wherever you see this, whenever you see this, you can always offer a helping hand. You can always offer feedback. We'll do our best to not engage when we see this type of threads or direct people to a positive conversation. Now, I'll also mention a few of the builders in the ecosystem. There are now tens and tens and tens of builders that are putting lots of efforts there, that are having a very difficult time, very challenging time. And this is not only on Multiverse X, this is everywhere. in the blockchain space, everywhere in some other spaces, like the economy is not at its best, to say the least. But it's important to understand the broader context, that it's extraordinarily challenging for everyone. And when it's challenging, the most important part is to focus and to find the way through which you can survive. If you've survived, you can build stuff. You can come with new ideas. You can find new paths. Managing emotions, managing the team, making sure that there is a path for you to move forward. This is extraordinarily important. And I'm only stating it because it's sometimes taken for granted. It's very obvious. But whenever you see the community, let's say part of the community getting influenced, emotionally down, and so forth, you generally can explain 90% of everything that's happening as an effect of the market, the manic depressive friend that has gotten to the people. And it's very sad sometimes to see builders getting caught into this and getting caught into drama and so forth. This happens. Sometimes it's normal. It's just important to sleep on stuff and then move forward. Because at the end of the day, you're here to build something, to share it with the world, to bring it outside. And this is why we're here for, and why we want to also help you. We want Multiverse X to be the stage on which you can showcase your products, on which you can build and share it with the world. And this is the important part that maybe you should take away. I'll also add a few of the projects that you constantly see building and iterating. These are a very small number, but you see me almost daily just showcasing how many of these products are already being built, how many of these products are already live, and people are not yet engaging or are still conveying the wrong kind of messages. This is, again, normal, expected. During this type of the market, this is what happens. So you've got to be more creative, more resourceful, find new ways. We're here. This is why we're opening the community sessions. This is why we're creating xDay, to open up a conversation with the broader world, to build the bridges and get outside of our community. We're the best in our community, but this is, at the end of the day, not what matters. What matters is that we continue to build, that we deliver really exceptional products, and that the products contribute to the world. Not only ourselves, but also the ecosystem, builders, startups, and so forth that are constantly pushing things forward. So, of course, you can see Hatem, you can see AshSwap, you can see Xoxno, you can see Pulsar Money, you can see Ethiums, you can see Knights of Katina, you can see Salsa, you can see JewelSwap, you can see PeerMe, you can see Cantina Royale, you can see Holoride. These are very few projects. You can see there are many other projects that I've mentioned before, either on Twitter or you can see in the ecosystem. People that are just pushing forward, trying to make the next step, irrespective of what everyone else thinks. Sometimes things are difficult, but understanding that this is part of the process, that this is how life will be, whatever you're trying to build, whatever you're trying to do, and that there will be really great times and there will be also really difficult times. Right now, if it's not very clear, this is not the best of times in some sense. And still, we're trying to make it something of an opportunity. Do the best of what we can, help the people in the ecosystem open this new type of conversations and bring everyone together at xDay to look again on what has happened not only in our ecosystem, but what is happening in the economy. what is happening with different technologies, what is happening with the banking and central banking fields, and engaging in this thoughtful conversation is what will give birth to the next steps that will be productive and that will move mountains, not only for Multiverse X, but even for some of the partners with which we're engaging. Now, I will say that it would be impossible to move forward, to build, to be here without everything that we have as a support in the ecosystem, community, the builders, the startups, and at the same time, the effort that is being put on the network, on the different products, to prepare things and constantly ship. That is something that can be easily taken for granted, but should not be. We can do something else at every point in time. It's very easy to just retire and go on an island and stop everything we're doing. But we're not doing that. We're pushing forward, waking up, finding the best ways, the best tools, the best ideas that we have today, and moving things forward. Now, I will say this one thing, and then probably I'll take a few of the ideas and questions that we've seen in the community. It is a difficult moment for some people, for the ecosystem, in the sense that it is challenging. But it is through this type of challenges that we see what's valuable and what's not. We believe that we're here for the long term, and we believe that this is a great opportunity for someone that sees and differentiate between sand and gold. It's now that we can filter this and differentiate it. And we strongly believe in what we're building and are excited that we'll be able to share some of this and get everyone together at xDay. So definitely make sure that you'll be present with us there. Now, for some comments and questions and feedback or ideas for the community. Relevance during the... One question is, how does Multiverse X plan to maintain its relevance during the next couple of years? Interestingly enough, the answer to this question is exactly what I've mentioned before. If you look at a company like Apple, they were several times the most well-capitalized company in the world. And at the same time, they have a very small amount of products on which they're iterating and that they're constantly improving with an obsession almost unlike any other company in the world. What they've succeeded in doing is through insane focus at first. Instead of doing 30 new things, they've tried to filter and do a lot less, but a lot better. Interestingly enough, and surprisingly enough, it's not only by being aware of what's new that you're staying alive. It's in fact much more important to take what you have to the next level, such that there's no one else that can compete with the products that we're offering, with the quality that we're offering, with the engagement that we're doing with our community and so forth. So it's a combination of hyper focus that we're going to constantly try to recalibrate, and awareness and curiosity related to what's happening in the world. We're in a position where we understand most of the things related to technology probably much better than almost any company. If you look at Europe, if you look at the world, what we've achieved with the resources we had is insane, even right now looking back, to state that we've achieved something, we've built something with 1000x less resources than companies in the US or Asia or China and so forth. We've reached certain milestones that are remarkable and important, is very important. Now, how do we take things from here to much larger scale? Well, maybe it has less to do with the next thing that is getting launched right now, and it has much more to do with deeper roots and deeper conversations, and one product done exceptional in a way that everyone else looks at it and then says, there's nothing like that. If just one product takes off like that, everything changes. So this is how we intend to stay not only relevant, but to lead some of the conversations. Everything that I was mentioning before, related to state officials, related to the largest companies, technology companies in the world, related to the products that we're building, related to some of the things that are being built in the ecosystem, and the conversations that we're having with bankers, central bankers, and the regulatory, the regulators. Some of these things are being tried in different forms, but they're not being tried in the way that we're doing it. In a way where once this is set, once this enables us to do the next steps, then we can move to the next milestone and conquer a much larger space. And then we can conquer a much larger space. But it's extremely important to not confuse just launching something with penetrating and converting a market. Conquering a market is very, very different than what things look right now. So in the grand scheme of things, zooming out, we're extraordinarily early. No one has actually reached a meaningful adoption in the world right now. All the conversations are still surprisingly early with respect to states, with respect to regulators, with respect to the banking sector, with respect to payments and all of that. So this means that the entire opportunity is out there. It will matter a lot. It will in fact be crucial. Who sees the paths that are not traveled yet, through which these collaborations and partnerships and conversations can be secured, such that adoption can be taken to the next step, to the next level. And here I'll just add one more point, which is, at the end of the day, there are two types of things that we should be always thinking about, and we'll refocus our entire conversation on. Number of new users that are coming in and participating in the ecosystem, and new builders that are coming in and participating in the ecosystem. Builders are a subset of the users that are coming in. Builders can be there, they will be there, they will build, but they need an audience. And so this is one of the things that will push on extraordinarily as we move forward, because it will spill over and bring some effects downstream on every other product that we're building. The way we bring new users in, the way we bring traffic, the way we have an optimized funnel, the way we convert this, cannot be overstated. Sometimes you just hear about the next cool thing that is launching, and that's interesting, and sometimes that's even great. But focusing on the thing that you have to do and doing it a lot better than everyone else, that's the very difficult thing. And during the next period, this is what we'll be focusing on, because we believe this will change everything. Not only the new superficial product, the next superficial product that someone else will launch, and beyond the headlines, nothing else happens. So yeah, this is one way we're pushing to not only stay relevant, but lead the wave. Build these conversations, build these bridges, and with these bridges, have a much deeper connection with the world, because we want our applications and our products and the network to be used by the world. We don't want to keep it. We built it to share it with the world. Second, will we see native stablecoins on chain? Why has this not been done through X-Money e-money license yet? This is one of the conversations that is very surprising in some sense. Of course, as you can imagine, we're having all the conversations with the large potential partners, pushing as hard as possible to move forward with them, to bring them in. We actually have some productive conversations there. But 100% we will have stablecoins on chain. Whether it's them issuing, whether it's us in partnership with someone else, we're pushing on this. It's just that there's one small thing. We're not doing things in a way that at the end of the day will go to prison. So building something, we're all for building something, we're all for pushing the boundaries, but the stable coins part has been extremely difficult and challenging, and at the same time controversial in legal frameworks, in the way things are structured and all of that. So while we do have several conversations, while we'll definitely have the large partners on Multiverse X, and we're exploring something very specific that we're super excited on, we've taken the time to have the proper conversations with the regulators, with banks, and with different partners, to make sure that as we release something, it can really bring us a lot closer to what we're trying to achieve with Multiverse X. Moving one step closer, any plan to reduce the BSC bridge fee, or talking to Wormhole, Axelar, Layer Swap, or some of the other solutions out there? One will definitely have several other bridges that, let's say, several other chains that will connect to our bridge. There will probably be also some optimizations related to the fees. And we, of course, have also new conversations with some of these partners that you've mentioned here. Whenever you come up with an idea that is very, very obvious, first, assume that it's being tried in some way. If the idea is super obvious and it's not being tried, then maybe, again, it's useful to see, is there a good reason? Is there something that we're not seeing here, and so forth? So since at xDay we're building this type of bridges with different sectors around the world, with different ecosystems, we're definitely pushing for interoperability. And we're definitely going to have something that we'll announce very, very soon as a partner, that you can see how this is tied to interoperability, how it opens up hundreds of new conversations of bridges with new chains in a very, very productive way. Another question is related to XFabric and XWorlds. Are there any news around that? Those are, for instance, two products that we've intentionally mentioned as being products we're exploring, that we believe are extremely important to be explored, but that we want to be very cautious with, that we want to take one step and another step, iterate some things, and instead of focusing on many, many things at once, try to come up with the first step, get the feedback, iterate on. For some things, technologies are there for some other things, technologies, despite being super exciting and super interesting, in practice, they're not there. They require a lot of effort. They require an insane amount of push in a way where sometimes it's also about timing. You can have everything, but if it's at the wrong timing, you might either survive until the timing comes, or need to find a way. You need to find a way to reposition things, rethink them, and move them forward. What I can say is, we'll definitely have some updates around this, even probably during the next period or at xDay. But we're trying to be with all the products. We're trying to take two approaches. One, being very, very pragmatic and looking at things from the standpoint of how much better can we do this than anything else that has been done in the world? How fast can we execute on this? What is the time frame at which we'll have a product like that? How much of an impact can it have compared to, or in addition or complementary to, the products that we're trying to build already? And at this point, we're at a stage where we're calibrating, recalibrating, and putting all the efforts in to make sure that whatever products we have with which we're coming out are the products that we're pushing to take over the world with. This is not simple. This is a very, very intentional approach to what we're doing, especially since we've been taking a lot of things. We've been working on a lot of things. Now, taking this approach where we're focusing a lot deeper on things and looking what are the things with which we could, if, just giving you an example, if, for instance, we've been discussing a lot about Maiar at first when we launched it, and how having, let me do this example with Multiverse X as a network and Xportal as an app. We've had an insight that was very fundamental about the nature of architectures, that we need a high bandwidth architecture in order to see widespread blockchain adoption. And this is why we built Elrond and the Multiverse X network right now. And then we also understood that this may be necessary, but not sufficient if we are to accelerate the adoption, because otherwise it might take 10 years until we reach that point. The question was, is there a way to fast track this? Is there a way to accelerate this type of adoption, to bring in users and developers and builders much faster, to compress the time and do it in half the time, or do it in a few years rather than 10 years? And this is why we came up with Maiar, and now we have Xportal. Now, one thing, if I'm pushing on it, if only one thing happens, and that's, for instance, 10 million users in Xportal, everything changes in this ecosystem. Everything. And by everything, I literally mean number of users, market with everything that happens, adoption for the different applications. Everything you can imagine boils down to the number of users we have. This is why anything that can contribute to attracting new users we'll consider very, very carefully. Anything that just adds another product for the same users that we have right now and so forth, we'll try to resist the urge of building, and we'll encourage some other people in the community, we'll encourage the ecosystem. But understanding this one thing enables us to look at how the world might look in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years. How will we make sure that we'll be there and that will lead the conversation? Users. How will we make sure that some of the other applications are there and have an audience to build and builders come to the ecosystem? Users. How will we make sure that investors and people that are part of the ecosystem are here and they see how things are changing and can participate in all of this? Again, users. So the entire conversation that we're having should be in the entire ecosystem, boiled down to how can we address these audiences? How can we compellingly offer the product that then brings a new audience in, bridges the gap, and then puts us in a different world? Because no one wants a very small ecosystem where they are building everything, but then nothing happens. This is why we need to resist the normal urges and push toward the next steps that we're trying to build. I will just maybe zoom out and restate the main thing that we've been saying, and I've been saying the entire conversation. There is a great opportunity in the market and in the world right now. It requires us to look at things very, very clearly and look at the demands, look at the needs. Seeing that and filtering all the noise out will be very different, will feel very different. But it seems like doing this type of exercise is necessary for any type of level up. This is where Multiverse X right now, Multiverse X is right now. This is why we're focusing a lot on getting things done for xDay. This is why some of the things we've been doing very differently from the start and are continuing to do them differently right now. And this is why we believe that there will be a phase when we look back at these moments and laugh at how crazy the world was, that everything was sort of, the entire world was sort of irrational, the market was irrational, and it was not clear what some of the use cases would be for blockchains for some of the applications. Now, what we're doing is we're trying to make this happen by, again, opening the bridges, having the conversations with the outside communities, bringing them together at xDay, and not focusing only or preponderantly on new things, but doing the things that we do significantly better. This is why we're going to continue to ask for feedback. We're going to continue to ask that you engage and come with ideas and start building and put in the effort. And this is how we're moving forward. One last thing that I'll share, and we'll probably very soon have some conversations on with all the builders and all the participants in the ecosystem, is that very, very soon, probably before xDay, there is a high possibility that for the next release, we'll engage in the first network governance vote for the next release. And in order to do this, there's a lot of focus and a lot of conversation internally right now to prepare some materials that are technical in nature, that are going to be shared with developers, that are going to be shared with validators, to get your feedback, to get your ideas, to start this new type of conversation where we hear not only your ideas, but then have you as part of this process, such that as we move forward with the network, probably beyond the next release, for the most important releases, there will be this type of governance conversation that will take even more serious and that will drive things even more closer to the community conversations that we're trying to do. Of course, you've seen this even with X-Exchange, the entire effort that has been put there with the different features, with the different ideas. We've just moved forward and made progress, and another step and another step and another step. And I believe that having Agora live opens up a different set of conversations, gives a voice to all the creative people in the community. And this will probably see a lot more. And this is how things start. And I think we've covered quite a lot today. The whole point with the town halls is to share this type of general update, to hear some thoughts from you, to get your ideas, and to also prepare some things for the next steps that are coming. We're extraordinarily excited about xDay. We're also pragmatic and want to move one step closer, one step closer, one step closer, without blowing things out of proportion. We're very much looking forward to seeing you there, whether you're a builder, whether you're a business, whether you're just part of the community. This is the best moment to, if the best moment to join Multiverse X and Elrond was when it started, the next best moment is right now. Just because we're building, we're super focused. You can build on top of Multiverse X. There are so many builders, so many community members, so many people just around the world that are participating in all of this, that xDay is the best excuse to bring them all together, and then also to take these conversations that we have and build the bridges with the state officials, with the bankers, with the central bankers, with the large technology businesses, with new funds, with people outside of the, let's say, business sector and more into the academic world that guide the conversations on economic growth. And of course, with builders from all over the world that are coming together and are going to be part of the hackathon. So it's at the same time an interesting challenge and the best time to be part of the conversation, add your contribution, and make sure the world hears what you've built. We're super curious to see you and have you at xDay. Thanks everyone, and